this is one of the specials I'm going to be talking about today, which is Phil Wang's new special on Netflix called Wang and Their Baby. Phil Wang is a Malaysian British comedian. Hello, hello, welcome back to the podcast. In this episode, like I was saying in the previous episode, I'm doing a bunch of bulk recordings. So I will be doing that starting now. But so in that last episode I mentioned that I watched a couple of specials, and this is one of the specials I'm going to be talking about today, which is Phil Wang's new special on Netflix called Wang and Their Baby. Phil Wang is a Malaysian British comedian. He's, Malaysian of, I think, Chinese descent. And he has become very, very popular. This is his second Netflix special. I forget the name of the last one. But it was shot in the Globe Theatre. The original Globe Theatre is no longer there. And because it was destroyed in the 17th century to make room for housing. And the Shakespeare Globe Theatre was originally, it was one of the buildings that, I did a little Wikipedia history. I knew Shakespeare performed there and he owned it with a group of people. It was actually, I think, 6 people altogether that owned it. 2 people that owned 25% each, and then the rest of the people owned 12.5%, which made up the 100%. But there was a fire there and it burned down, then it was rebuilt, and then, like I said, in the 16th century it was knocked down for housing. The current Globe Theatre that was built was rebuilt in 1997 using they reconstructed it using sketches and artwork from before. And I think it's about 350 meters from the original spot where the original Globe Theatre was built. But yeah, that's where Philly Wang shot his special for Netflix. It's a very interesting room because it's a stage and there's a circle around it, and that's where all the seating is. It's a very small room. I think, for a comedy, I think it's a great venue because be able to. It's just very kind of homely atmosphere and very kind of cozy, so be able to get a great reaction from the audience. The special itself was hilarious. I really, really enjoyed it. Phil Wang is a great comedian. I've been following him for quite a long time. I see clips of him on Instagram all the time. He's very, 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 very funny. During the special he made can't remember what joke he made, but he said, imagine doing one of these jokes in the historic Globe Theatre. Now, like I said, it's not the original theatre, but you kind of get the sense. But I think Shakespeare would have been, he was definitely not a traditionalist when it came to theatre and stuff. I don't think he would have been very upset by what was happening in the current Globe Theatre nowadays, because there seems to be a lot of comedy at it. I've been to London a couple of times, and I think I've walked past it, but I can't really remember, to be honest. I think I did once or twice. I was there a couple of years ago. What's something wrong with the computer again? No, I don't know. So something wrong with the computer. But yeah, so the special was fantastic, really, really funny. Lots of very entertaining ideas from Mr. Phil Wang. That's the end of the episode, no. But I have to, out of all the specials that I watched, his and the other one I'm going to talk about, Adam Sandler's one, was my favorite. Now, they were both very, very funny. They're all these comedians are very, very funny, but it's just, my opinion that what's going on. It'll be Yeah, I'm just looking at calendar dates, but yeah. In the last couple of weeks, like I said, I've been watching these specials, but his one that made me kind of burst out laughing multiple times throughout it, and it was very very funny, and his style of writing is very coherent and very very good structure, and it was just great to see that, I suppose, in the special. I'm trying to rack my brain about what else to say, because I'm trying to record like a lot of episodes in a short amount of time, but I can't really think of anything else really from the special that was there. I think that's it really. It's available now on Netflix if you want to watch it. I sound like his manager promoting this stuff for these comedians stuff, but it's like I said, this podcast is about my journey into comedy and other aspects of comedy as well. Also, like other comedian specials and stuff there, because comedy is a big world. Well, it is and it isn't. There's not that, I suppose, in terms of other professions, there's not that many comedians compared to, say, doctors or lawyers or engineers, what have you. But it's, I always like looking at different aspects of it and, talk about different specials and whatnot. Speaking of kind of comedy related stuff, I don't know if I mentioned it. I talked about before about signing the petition to get the Arts Council in Ireland to recognise comedy as an art form, and it is currently going through government. It's been proposed as a bill. The amendment has been proposed. It's currently going through the voting process, which is very long and laborious and boring. But I think from kind of, because towards the end of this year, the Arts Council is rewriting its policy for funding, and what we've been told is that it will include comedy as an art form in its new multidisciplinary program for the coming couple of years, because they do it in bulk years. I think it's like 2025, 2030, stuff like that. So hopefully next year we will see the there's been a couple of things as well, like if your comedy act falls under theatre, you can have shows in theatre and you can apply for theatre funding and stuff like that. So there has been little changes already, even before the bill has been passed, which is great. Hopefully it will give people access to much needed funds to stage and perform comedy, because it's quite expensive production. And like I said, I keep it posted on the bill, but I'm very very hopeful. The fact that it's in government, it's past the first stage, so now it has to go from the Oireachtas to the Seanad. Yeah, it's a 5-stage process from what I remember. So it goes from the Oireachtas to the Seanad. The Oireachtas is like the House of Commons. The Seanad is the higher house in government in Ireland. And so the Seanad votes, and it goes back to the Oireachtas, and then back to the Seanad, and then the Irish president has to review it, and then it gets passed as an act. And hopefully that'll happen. But yeah, I think it's in the second stage at the moment. It's in the Seanad, from what I remember last time. Might have been back to the House of the Oireachtas, but I'm not sure. I should check up on that. I'll keep it posted anyway. We'll see how things flesh out in the near future for that. But yeah, so Phil Wang special, Phil Wang special, really really good, and thoroughly enjoyed it. And if you want to check it out yourself, But yeah, that's for all of today's episode. As per usual, all the links down below for everything to the people that you should support, my fellow comrades, fellow podcasters, fellow comedians, and all of that good stuff, and fellow musicians down there as well, and graphic designers who designed the artwork for this podcast. But yeah, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll see you all next week. Bye bye. Hello, welcome back to Al Talks. This podcast I started 3 years ago to chronicle me starting stand up. This podcast is a weekly podcast. It comes out once a week, and this is just a small little introduction video into the podcast. So down below in the description of each episode, you can go to my Linktree and find links to everything connected to me. This podcast is available on YouTube, which you're watching on right now, and also on Spotify. But yeah, that is just a small introduction into this podcast and everything that goes along with it.